handy with a wrench. There's nothing I can't drive, nothing I can't fix.
So I have this vise I picked up on Craigslist. Olympia Tools 5-inch multi-purpose vise number 13-025. It's very heavy. I'm gonna restore it. It's not in bad shape. Everything works on it. It's not seized or anything. And it swivels up and down. As for pipe, I have the other attachment that goes here. Swivels there, swivels this way. Pretty nice vise. So this is my next project. I'm gonna take the paint off and repaint it. See how it comes out. Stay tuned. So what I'll be using here is a little wire. This one's used up, but what I do is normally just comes down towards the paint. It's hard to do right now. Just pretty much take this whole paint and also the rust. Take the rust out. So that's pretty much what I'll do to the whole thing. If it gets harder, I'll probably use a angle grinder. So stay tuned. That's the process of removing this old paint on it. Okay. So I end up switching to a wheel grinder with 60 grit on it. Seems to work a lot better, faster than the drill. And plus this paint, somehow it has real thickening paint on it, but I'll do a demonstration how easy this takes the paint out. And it's a like a sandpaper, but here we go. Okay. Well, see how much quicker that is? Plus this is electric, the other thing was battery. But that's how we want to get it done. Stay tuned. So next thing I want to do here is I've grinded down to almost the bare metal. But what I'm going to do is take it apart in several pieces so I could grind it completely out. So I'll have that video on kind of like a time lapse, so I won't bore you to death, but it's just removing most of these screws, bolts and nuts. So that's our next step. Take it apart. Okay, now that's all apart, that wasn't so bad. What I did was 2 days ago, I ended up putting PB Blaster on the bolts and nuts, and that definitely helped out with taking these all rusted nuts out with the bolts. So now it's all taken apart into individual pieces. So now I will continue to remove this old paint, leave it bare metal with the angle grinder, and clean the inside. And the next process will be to paint each piece individual. So stay tuned. So after taking the vise apart and hitting it with the angle grinder, I decided to do a process that I've seen in other videos here on YouTube called electrolysis. I think I'm saying it right, electrolysis, which is basically putting the all the parts inside some water with a some type of I'll show you in a minute, it's soap, and running some current to it, and it removes the rust. All the parts are connected to the negative, and then you got these two metals that are connected through a wire that's going outside the tub, connected to the positive. But if you just put it in water, it won't work just with water, so you have to use seen a lot of people use this Arm & Hammer Super Wash Soda, which contains, I forgot what it was, but you can look electrolysis up, and a lot of people show really good videos on that. This is the first time I do it, so it seems to working pretty good for me. Once again, it is just basically connecting all your metal parts to the ground, and then you got two pieces, or how many pieces you want to connect to the positive, but they cannot touch at all, and then running a current through. So most of them use a 12 volt a battery charger. Mine set at 12 volts 2 amps, and it's basically running electricity through it and removing the rust from this. That's why it's connected to the negative, and then the positive somehow pulls the rust off. And the soap is basically so that the water can be conductive. Oh, I'll show you when it comes out. So after having the pieces soaking in the electrolysis process, this is what they well, what the water looks like after a while. And you can see almost the rust almost comes out just by shaking it. So let's pull them out and see how they look like. So these are how the pieces came out when sitting in there for 24 hours. And they came out really nice. No rust at all. This you see here is just some type of putty they use to smooth the metal out before they paint it. But all the rust on it, all gone. Put the screws and bolts in there as well. No more rust. The handle came out really good. Let me show you what the these are your two sacrifice pieces, and they are the ones that are connected to your positive, and they collect all the rust, so it sticks to them. So make sure that the two pieces you use are pieces that you're not going to need. I'm really happy with the process. So now I'm gonna wash these off really good, and we'll tape them up for the areas we don't want to paint, and then we'll start the painting process. Stay tuned. Okay, so here we got the pieces after I spray painted them. I'm gonna leave all this bare. It's just, you know, screws and nuts, moving parts that I don't want to paint. This goes inside of that so you don't see it. I'm just going to lubricate it really good. And then what I did is I covered it up with the painter's tape, the areas I did not want to paint. So I'll demonstrate here. Just that's the area I didn't want paint on. So you just pull the tape off and you're left with bare metal. So I'm getting ready to put this back together so you guys can see the end result, and it'll be on lapse time. I don't bore you guys. All right.